I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Now, today we're reading from the book of Ezekiel, chapter 6. Let's focus on verses 7 through 10. The slain will fall among you, and you will know that I am Yahweh. And yet I will leave a remnant when you are scattered among the nations. For throughout the countries there will be some of you who will escape the sword. And then your survivors will remember me among the nations where they are taken captive. How I was crushed by their promiscuous hearts that turned away from me, and by their eyes that lusted after their idols. They will loathe themselves because of the evil things they did, their detestable practices of every kind, and they will know that I am the Lord. I did not threaten to bring this disaster on them without a reason. Now, in recent years, there's been a movement among parenting circles not to spank children. And I say recent years because, man, when I was growing up, I remember getting spanked all the time, in public even, whenever it was necessary. And I remember people patting my parents on the back, or they just kind of whisper to them, for disciplining my siblings and me. And they'd be like, "Good job, Dad. Good job, Mom." And the truth is, we deserved it. And if a parent were to spank a child in public these days, well, there's a high probability that someone would call the cops. And the child would be taken into protective custody, and investigation would be conducted on whether they were fit to raise children. Now, let me be clear, I'm not advocating abusing children. It's just that there's times when harsh discipline is necessary. Nothing else would do for the healthy long-term development of children so that they transition into law-abiding adults and they know where the boundaries are. And if you do not believe in the potential necessity of harsh discipline, with the ultimate goodwill of the one undergoing the harsh discipline in mind, if you don't understand that, well, you'll never understand what God's doing to Israel. And you will not understand how a massive reckoning is in store for our generation. Why would God allow Israel and Judah, the northern and southern kingdoms, to be defeated and to be driven from their land, the promised land? How could he allow the temple to be torn down? Because they had abandoned his word. And not just the average Jew. From the pulpit, the whole community was corrupted as God's word had been compromised. Here's what Jeremiah had to say in Jeremiah 14, I believe. From the least even to the greatest of them. That's Jeremiah 6, verses 13 and 14. He says, from the least to the greatest of them, everyone is making profit dishonestly. From prophet to priest, everyone deals falsely. They have treated my people's brokenness superficially. Oh, you broke an arm? Here's a Band-Aid and a sucker. Claiming peace, peace, when there is no peace. The message of the false prophets was simple. God is only a God of grace and never a God of judgment. Therefore, peace, peace had replaced God's standard of personal holiness. Hey, bro, you sinned. You messed up. You brought this on yourself. And there's a way through it, but it ain't going to be easy. Peace, peace had replaced the standard. And God's hatred of sin was not articulated. They preached a false hope, assuming that God is a pushover who is not concerned with the faithfulness of his people. And yet he is. Paul warned the early church about a coming day that would be just like the days of the Babylonian destruction of Jerusalem. And we can see that day quickly approaching. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 1 through 3, Paul wrote this, about the times and the seasons, brothers, you don't need anything to be written to you, for you yourselves know very well that the day of the Lord will come just like a thief in the night, just as it has in the past. And when they say peace and security, peace, peace, well then sudden destruction comes on them, like labor pains come on a pregnant woman, and they will not escape. Think of these things when we go through life, because guys, listen, God will spank his kids in Walmart if necessary. Why would you undergo that when all you had to do was seek the word, obey the word, share the word, and maybe then you'd see revival instead of rebuke? I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Now, Groundworks Ministries operates entirely through financial donations from faithful people like you. And yes, we need your monthly support. Donating is secure and it's easy at our website, groundworksministries.com. You know, another way to help is just tell people about Groundworks Ministries. You can share these podcasts with friends and family on your social media even. And of course, you can always direct folks to our website, groundworksministries.com.